Alex, we'll come to you for your question of Mayor Johnson in just a moment. While I have the benefit of a bit of time with Boris Johnson, we were speaking earlier in the show, Mayor, about Westminster Council saying that they're going to review their decision concerning parking changes in the West End. We've spoken with Councillor Lee Rowley. He says it is just a review and they are still minded to introduce it the other side of the Olympics. What say you?
Well, I think we'll see what happens there. I think Westminster Council, particularly Colin Barrow, have done the right thing, brave and principled decision to put this thing the other side of the Olympics. I'll tell you why.
But what about then, Mr. Mayor? What should they do then?
Because this year is going to be one where London needs to maximise the opportunity of the Olympics. I want to see West End business profit and thrive. This was a cloud of uncertainty hanging over
But we don't want to just delay it for 9 months, do we?
No, and I think. So, listen, I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be very tough for any politician to pick this one up and run with it again. I think that
it's dead, isn't it?
Well,
how close did you get to getting involved?
That's a matter for Westminster Council. I made it very clear to Westminster, to Colin, to friends on the council that I didn't think it was the right way to go.
In the strongest possible terms.
In the strongest possible. I do think there's an interesting philosophical political problem. And Westminster is the motor of the London economy. It's got an economy about the size of Birmingham, Manchester, bigger. And yet the people who are elected in Westminster, of course, depend on the votes of the people who live there. Now,
why don't you take control of parking then?
They don't necessarily have, the same perspective.
Would you like to take control of parking?
Of course, people say, why don't you become more dictatorial?
I just did. So why don't you take control?
I won't conceal from you, Nick, that is certainly an option that we were looking at in the run-up to that wise decision.
So had they not reviewed it, you might have.
I think there is, the point I was trying to make, there is a majoritarian problem. Which majority counts? Is it the majority of residents in Westminster, or is it Londoners who need the Westminster economy to be working for the
just to finish, you could have stepped in, couldn't you?
There is certainly possible. Under the 1980 Local Government Act, as amended by the GL Act of 1999, it is possible for us to take strategic control of greater strategic control of roads.
Okay.
That requires the assent of the boroughs, but it could be supported by the Secretary of State. Failing that assent.
Alex in Richmond, you're through to the Mayor. Go ahead, Alex.
Good morning, both of you, and congratulations on your efforts and your driving force behind making London a better place for everybody.
That was meant for me, by the way, Mayor. Yes, go on.
Thank you, Alex. I'm so sorry.
Boris does his bit, but...
Good luck next year, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
It's the question of the Olympics tickets at Oldchester. I'm sorry to bring it up again. I raised it with you in October. We were not allowed to pay your age tickets. That's to pay your age for children's. I've got 4 grandchildren. I'm a pensioner. Forget about pay a cheaper rate for pensioners. It's the kids I'm concerned with.
Right.
I wound up paying the full price because I really want them to go to the Olympics. I didn't get anything in the first round. In the second round, we had the option to pay your age. It never happened. I complained to LOCOG. They brushed me off, saying all the tickets were sold.
That's outrageous. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I raised it with you. Your office have had the same problem that I had. LOCOG are not accountable to anybody. They will not answer the question.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, listen, I'm sorry that you've had the brush off, and I'm going to get back onto that immediately. Just they remind everybody that, of course, London schools today is the deadline. Any London school, listening to this, anybody responsible, today is the deadline, Friday the 16th, for schools that want to apply for those free tickets, and it may just be possible for them to get their applications in under the wire. There are 125,000 free tickets going at least.
On the subject, thank you for that, Alex. If you stay on the line, we will make sure your details... Thank you, sir. And I'm now asking someone back at our studios in Leicester Square. On the subject of schools, you are aware that not enough schools, or not many schools, are able to have a visit by Wenlock and Mandeville, or whatever they are, because of the cost of £800, Mr. Mayor.
Well, that is... I think that's true unless they've joined the Get Set programme.
A lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and there's a particular school where they are... I know that the children are disappointed, and I've pledged that I will make sure... I think it's actually... It is called Mandeville School. I've said that I will make sure that they get a visit, the kids of that school get a visit from those Olympic mascots, indeed whether they want it or not.
Why is this like a profit centre now?
It's not, well...
Extraordinary amount of money to have two people turn up in suits.
Well, exactly. I mean, you could volunteer. You'd be a very good work. You'd be a very good.
Actually, I think
got well drawn. Well, we could do. But
well, that leads me. But you agree that's unfair.
It is unfair, and I was asked about it on Wednesday, and I have pledged that in that particular case, we're going to make sure that those kids get a visit.
And talk about wearing certain suits. This leads me on to the fact that some months ago, and this just proves that the mayor has kept yet another promise. Some months ago, I managed to get into some kind of ridiculous bet that was to raise money for charity over who could lose more weight by Christmas. I think I've lost £14.5 now. I haven't at all. But anyway,
have you really? No, you haven't.
How many have you lost?
I have. Listen. Well,
only 14.
No, I've lost.
Give me your money.
No, I did lose a stone.
Did you really?
I lost more than a stone. But I lost more than a stone because I took it from a very high level. I mean, I want you to know that I was absolutely teetering over my max. I was 105 kilos plus. So then I took it down.
So how'd you do it?
Sheer physical fitness and drive.
So I owe you 100 quid for the mayor's fund, don't I?
But I don't believe we actually took a bet. That's what I don't remember. Yes, we did. Hang on. Rebecca's nodding. She says we did. If you promised to pay money, you got.
Well, I've only got some euros. So I don't know. You're a big fan of the euro. I've got some euros. No, if I promise to pay, I'll pay. Of course, I'll pay. Is it to the mayor's? I'll talk to your colleague.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to take that €5 as a deposit?
I wouldn't take those €5 off you, Nick. I'm sure you'll be needing them in the future. Whether you'll be needing them for long in Greece. Or whether you'll be able to use them in Greece or Portugal.
You've seen the papers today, have you? Mr.
I have, yes.
What do you make of those French? Another attack, this time over credit ratings.
I think what you've got is a sustained attempt to throw sand in everybody's eyes and to create a great fuss about relations between France and Britain, when the issue is France and Germany. When the French are hacked off with the Germans, they always blame the British. And what's really happened is that the Germans have refused to do what Sarkozy wanted, and that's to socialise the debts of the periphery EU countries, to bankroll the whole thing, to guarantee the euro for the foreseeable future. And so instead you're having all these noises off about Britain and David Cameron, qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Sort of, which is not actually the, I'm afraid, that the heart of the problem.
What would you say to the French, Mr. Mayor, before we go back to the calls? What would you say?
I would say, as I always say, let them eat cake made in Waltham Forest, which is where we export growing quantities of delicious cake to the people of France.
Roberta.
And I would also say that we are, but more seriously, we are paid up members of the EU. They need us. They need our markets, and I hope very much that they will, in due course, buy this magnificent bus.
Roberta's in Victoria. You're through to the mayor. Go ahead, Roberta.
Good morning. Just a very quick question for the mayor. As a wheelchair user, I wanted to know whether the new bus is going to, like any other London bus I've been on since I've been using a wheelchair, make the wheelchair user sit backwards when you're driving, because it makes me feel really nauseous, and I was wondering whether this has been changed and improved for the new bus.
I can see no reason, looking at the configuration.
Is this the wheelchair area here? Sorry,
yes. I can see no reason, Roberta, why you should have to sit backwards.
No.
As far as there's a very ample space that we're looking at here, and I think you'll be fully able to sit facing the direction of travel.
Yeah, I think there's good news coming your way, Roberta. Don't take our word for us, but certainly as someone who fortunately sitting in the bus right now, so I can give you a sort of preview of it. I think you're going to be in good shape on that. Thank you. Jim in Ealing asks, will you be banning eating on these new buses, Mayor? The stench of someone eating a burger is disgusting. Mayor Johnson?
Jim, well, we have no plans to ban eating. We did ban alcohol, and that was very successful. Crime on buses is down a great deal, and so is crime on the tube. And but eating, I'm often lobbied, Jim, to ban eating. I think for most Londoners it would be a step too far. Many people are simply famished. They need to eat something on the bus. I think to ban alcohol is one thing. To stop people eating anything at all would be quite difficult.
Martin in Chingford says, please ask Mayor Johnson whether we can have the Scottish big man as conductor. That way he can stop people putting their feet on the seat. Have you seen that? Have you? This is the YouTube video of someone throwing...
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Let's get him.
Well, that's... Listen, I mean, that is... buses are becoming much safer. Much safer.
You'd love him on the buses, wouldn't you?
But what we will have is we will have conductors, or whatever you want to call them, and I think...
You're the mayor, you should tell us. You asked me what I want to call them, you should be telling me.
All right, well, call them conductors.
Done.
We'll call them conductors.
The word goes out.
That's what they're going to do.
One last one. This is from Rachel in Bexley. Why don't you solve the problem of tube driver strikes and have driverless trains like the DLR?
Rachel, I'm afraid you're completely right, and the action of the drivers in demanding extra cash for something that they've long been rostered to do at a time when Londoners are looking for more jobs, not for people to be chiselling more cash out of the public sector for jobs they're already doing. In my view, that is a slam dunk case for proceeding with our current programmes of automation, and there's no doubt that in the end we will be having driverless trains. I want to stress that is not going to be in the long run a bad thing for employees of LU, because we'll have more trains, more capacity, we'll have a better service. What we'll simply be doing is getting rid of people who are able to hold the city to ransom by saying we will refuse to drive the train.
Alan in South Woodford, you're through to Mayor Johnson. Alan.
Yeah, good morning to you both. Lower central gravity. One of the great things about the Routemaster, which was designed by AEC, a wholly owned subsidiary of London Transport for London, was the fact that the central gravity was so low, and therefore we weren't all thrown about when we got on the bus. Those of us who are old enough to remember the old skid pan of London Transport.
So let's put that question. I'm sorry to talk over you, Alan. You're going to hate me, but I have to sort of abbreviate. Do we know where the centre of gravity is for this bus?
It is low. It is a. I've driven this bus. It turns very. I've driven this very bus.
Good Lord.
And it moves beautifully up in Ballymena.
Right. Not on the roads.
No, I've driven it around the compound.
You're not allowed to,
well, I've driven it on the test track as well in Northamptonshire and or wherever it was, and it works fantastic. It's got more pull than any kind of Maserati.
Ferrari.
Absolutely.
Even better than a Ferrari.
Much more capacious than even faster than a Ferrari, Nick, and more capacious than any kind of Rolls Royce. It is a magnificent machine.
Last question. David Cameron has described your re-election as second term as London Mayor number one priority for 2012. What has he actually said to you personally, Mayor Johnson?
Well, I think David Cameron is doing a fantastic job.
And what has he said to you personally? That wasn't the question, was it? What has he said to you personally about re-election?
About what? About re-election?
Yeah,
well, I think he's. Listen, I know that he supports it, and I think what he certainly feels is that we've done.
What do you two see as the biggest challenge?
We've done a good job in getting the investment that London needs, and I think that is the thing that he understands, is that London is. He wants London, like me, to be the commercial capital of business.
But you've had a number of conversations about
the world, and we share that vision, and I think he wants to see that continued for the next foreseeable future.
Mayor Johnson, thank you very much for inviting us on that bus. I'd love to ride the first cable car with you next year. Perhaps we could arrange that as well. I'd be very grateful.
That's right, with Vince Cable.
With
He's coming. He's going to be there
on the cable car. I'm done for another day, another week. My thanks to Mayor Johnson. There are pictures of me with the Mayor on lbc.co.uk.